from Group 4, I'm Jasley.
I'm Lauretta.
I'm Nathan.
And we're going to explain to you the multiplication of trigonometry.
Okay, so before we get into a detailed explanation about the multiplication of trigonometry, I'm going to introduce to you what we're going to talk about in this video. First, we're going to start the explanation from the equation first, starting from the base of the equations that we use for our formula. And next, we're going to explain the formula itself, as you can see right here. And then the second one, we're also going to show you how to apply those formula that we have explained. And lastly, we're also going to give you some exercise. So for the formula that we're going to use for this topic is going to be explained by Lauretta and Nathan.
First, before we're going to prove our formula, we need to know the very basic formula that we use to prove our formula. We're using the addition and subtraction of angle formula. We're going to apply this formula to our formula. So let's move on to the first formula. In here, we're going to find the sin A times sin B. The formula that we applied from the addition and subtraction of angle formula was the cos in the bracket A plus B equals cos A cos B minus sin A sin B, and cos in the bracket A minus B equals cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. We're doing it from the back because we are going to prove our formula to find the fact if our formula is real or not. After that, don't forget to cross it out the cos A times cos B, and then you can get the result minus sin A times sin B minus sin A times sin B. It's actually the same as minus 2 times sin A times sin B. And then because we are going to find the sin A sin B, we need to find the way how to remove the minus 2. By moving the minus 2, so it's become cos in the bracket A plus B minus cos in the bracket A minus B over minus 2. So this was the formula for the sin A times sin B. Next, we're going to find the formula of the cos A cos B. The formula that we applied from the addition and subtraction of angle formula was the cos in the bracket A plus B equals cos A cos B minus sin A sin B, and cos in the bracket A minus B equals cos A cos B plus sin A sin B too. We're doing it from the back because we're going to prove our formula to find the fact if our formula is real or not. After that, don't forget to cross it out the sin A times sin B, and then you can get the result cos A times cos B plus cos A times cos B. It's actually the same as 2 times cos A cos B. And then because we're going to find the cos A and cos B, we need to find a way how to remove the 2. And the way was by moving the 2, so it became cos in the bracket A plus B plus cos in the bracket A minus B over 2. So this was the formula for the cos A cos B.
Now I will explain how it works and also how to prove the formulas of sin A times cos B. As we know, the formulas of sin A plus B is sin A times cos B plus cos A times sin B. And the formulas of sin A minus B is sin A times cos B minus by cos A times sin B. We just need to combine these two formulas and it will become sin A times cos B plus cos A times sin B plus sin A times cos B minus by cos A times sin B. After we combine these two formulas, we multiply them into sin A times cos B plus sin A cos B. Now, how can we get sin A times cos B plus sin A cos B? That's because cos A times sin B cross out with minus cos A times sin B, and the result is exhausted. After that we combine sin A times cos B plus sin A cos B into 2 times sin A times cos B, Then we move to from sin A times cos B to sin A plus B plus sin A minus B divided by 2 equals sin A times cos B. The formulas of sin A times cos B is half times sin A plus B plus sin A minus by B. And that is how to prove the formula of sin A times cos B. After that we talk about sin A times cos B. Now we're gonna talk about how to prove cos A times sin B. Just like before we get into the discussion, we need to know the formulas of sin A plus B and sin A minus B. The formulas of sin A plus B is sin A times cos B plus cos A times sin B. And the formulas of sin A plus minus B is sin A times cos B minus by cos A times sin B. Once we know the formulas of these two elements, we just need to combine and subtract these two formulas. And then the result, it will become cos A times sin B plus cos A times sin B. Then we sum cos A times sin B plus cos A times sin B to 2 times cos A times sin B. After that 2 from cos A times sin B, we move it to sin A plus B minus sin A minus B. And it will become sin A plus B minus sin A minus B divided by 2 is equal to cos A times sin B. So the formulas of cos A times sin B is half times sin A plus B minus by sin A minus B. And that's how to prove cos A times sin B.
Okay, now since both of my friends have explained all 4 formulas that is in this topic, here we have prepared 4 different questions in order to explain to you how to apply all those formulas into a real questions or problems. Let's start with the first question. Here we have negative 2 sin 75 degree times sin 45 degree. Assume that 75 degrees A and 45 degree is B. Here we have 2 sin in the question. Sin 75 degree times by sin again 45 degree. So the formula that we are going to use is sin A times sin B equals to cos in the bracket A plus B minus cos in the bracket A minus B over negative 2. Don't forget that we still have another negative 2 left in front of the question. So what we're going to write down is negative 2 times in the bracket cos in the bracket A plus B minus cos in the bracket A minus B over negative 2. And since we have 2 negative 2 right here, we can just cancel them out by crossing it. So what we are left with is cos in the bracket A plus B minus cos in the bracket A minus B. Insert the value of A and B, so we can write down cos in the bracket 75 degree plus 45 degree minus cos in the bracket 75 degree minus 45 degree. Add and subtract the A and B, so we're left with cos 120 degree minus cos 30 degree. And then just change the cos into the value of the angle itself. But since we have 120 degree here, which is not a special angle, we can use a classic way in order to find its value by using cos 180 degree minus by what angle is equal to 120 degree. And in this case, the angle that fit is 60 degree. So we can say that cos 120 degree is equal to cos 60 degree. But don't forget something. 120 degree is in the second quadrant, which means that it is going to be negative because what we're finding right now is cos. So cos 120 degree is equal to the value of negative cos 60 degree. and just write down the value, which is going to be negative 1 over 2. And for negative cos 30 degree is equal to negative root 3 over 2. And then after we get this, we can just change the form into negative in the bracket 1 plus root 3 over 2. So why can the form become like this? Because when you see the final form like this, you can do a rainbow multiplication for the negative sign in front of the bracket into the value inside the bracket. And it's just going to change it into the same form as the previous one, which this just going to change it into negative 1 over 2 minus root 3 over 2 again. So it's just the same. And why is the two merged together? Because as you can see right here, it's a subtraction. When it comes to a subtraction or addition, then the denominator or the number on the below is belong to the both of them or the both of the numbers. So in this case, 2 does belong to 1 and root 3. So we can just merge it together. So the final answer for the first question is negative in the bracket 1 plus root 3 over 2. Now let's move on into the next question. Here we have number 2, cos 120 degree times by cos 30 degree. Here you can see that we have two cos 120 degree times by cos again 30 degree. Assume that 120 degrees A and 30 degree is B as usual. So for this question, we requires the formula of cos A times cos B equals to cos in the bracket A plus B plus cos in the bracket A minus B over 2. And then insert the value of A and B. So write down cos in the bracket 120 degree plus 30 degree plus cos in the bracket 120 degree minus 30 degree over 2. And then just add and subtract them. And we're left with cos 150 degree plus cos 90 degree. And just change this cos into the value of the angle. Since we have another non-special angle right here, which is 150 degree, we can use cos 180 degree again, minus by what is equal to 150 degree. And in this case, it's 30 degree. And remember that 150 degree is in the second quadrant too, so the value is going to be negative. Then we can set that cos 150 degree is equal to the value of negative cos 30 degree. And just write it down, which in this case is negative root 3 over 2 plus by the value of cos 90 degree, which is 0, and don't forget over 2. And since we have plus 0 right here, we can just ignore it because it doesn't make any difference. Then we have another over 2 on the very bottom, which the over 2 in this case is a division. Remember, we can change a division into a multiplication by switching the place of the numerator and the denominator. So we can write down negative root 3 over 2 times by 1 over 2 because we switched the place. And then just multiply the both of them and we're left with negative root 3 over 2 times 2 is equals to 4. Okay, now moving on into the next question, we have 6 sin 90 degree times cos 30 degree. For this question, we're going to use the formula of sin A times cos B. And don't forget there's 6 in front of the question itself. So what we're going to write down is 6 times in the bracket sin in the bracket A plus B plus sin in the bracket A minus B over 2. Since we have 6 and 2 right here, we can cross them out. And don't forget to insert the value of A and B. So write down 3 times in the bracket sin in the bracket 90 degree plus 30 degree plus sin in the bracket 90 degree minus 30 degree. Add and subtract them. Then we're left with 3 in the bracket sin 120 degree plus sin 60 degree. And since we have 120 degree right here, which is not a special angle, we can use sin 180 degree minus by what angle is equal to 120 degree, which in this case is 60 degree. 120 degree is in the second quadrant, which means that the sin stays positive. So sin 120 degree is equal to the value of sin 60 degree. Write down the value and also the 3. So what we're going to put is 3 times in the bracket root 3 over 2 plus root 3 over 2. And since we have to root 3 right here, plus, and then we can change the form into 2 times root 3 because it's just the same. And why is the 2 merging together again? Because, like I said, if it's an addition or subtraction, then the denominator does belong to the both of them. And in this case, 2 does belong to root 3 1 and root 3 number 2. And then we're just going to write it down. 3 times in the bracket 2 root 3 over 2. Since we have 2 in here, then we can cancel the both of them out. So the final answer for this question is 3 root 3. And then we are going to head into the next question again. Number 4, the last question. Here we have cos 45 degree times sin 15 degree. For this number, we're going to use the formula of cos A times sin B. Write down the formula. Sin in the bracket A plus B minus sin in the bracket A minus B over 2. Insert the value of A and B. So we're going to write down sin in the bracket 45 degree plus 15 degree minus sin in the bracket 45 degree minus 15 degree over 2. Add and subtract them, then we're left with sin 60 degree minus sin 30 degree. Insert the value. So we're going to write down root 3 over 2 minus 1 over 2, and don't forget the over 2 on the very bottom. And then, like I said, if it's a subtraction or addition, the denominator belongs to the both of them. So the both of the 2 in the middle line, we can merge it together. And for the over 2 on the very bottom is a division, so we can change it into a multiplication, like I said, by switching the side of the denominator and also the numerator. So write down root 3 minus 1 over 2 times by 1 over 2. And then we're just going to write down for the final answer is root 3 minus 1 over 2 times 2 equals to 4. So this is the final answer.
The following is an exercise that you can try to do. Don't forget to pause this video to do it. At the end of this video, I will give you the answer to the exercise you have done. Don't forget to check it out so you know whether the answer you found is right or wrong.